Wait a minute. Are these the same people who paid the same fee that had been increased while they were coming in? That the people who are fighting for themselves now?
Yes, they are fighting for themselves now.
So, are you being instigated by someone outside? Because 3 years down the line, if people have paid, one would have thought that, well, it's a settled issue, knowing full well that there's also a committee, a ad hoc committee headed by the Commissioner of Transport, Ms. Okwefa, to look into a possible reduction of this fee.
So, on the issue of being sponsored by anybody or being triggered by anybody, the fact is, on this protest, last week, Wednesday, after the meeting with the committee, we met with our students to give them a feedback on what we've done in the committee and some
What was the outcome of the meeting?
Now, we met with the committee on Tuesday, on May 27, and the statement what they were saying is that if the fee is reduced to 46,000 naira, Lasu will be a university for all commerce. That education will not be qualitative in Lasu again. And the question that we beg to ask them is, the government is there any correlation between education and the amount paid for it? The answer is no. University of Helsinki in Finland is the 76th best university in the world, an tuition-free university. University Malaga is one of the best universities in the world, an tuition-free university. Even in the UK, those who are indigenous of the places of various states and provinces pay less. They pay next to nothing. It is the children of our own rich men, the advantage that go there to pay 9,000, 6,000 pounds. That is why they can hype education on that side of the world. What we are saying is education is a social responsibility of the government.
Sorry, I'm sure that one you don't have that particular information right, because even very recently their own fees were hiked. Their fees is not next to nothing. Even as at the time before it was hiked, before it was triple hiked, it was not next to nothing. It was a lot of money even for the average UK citizen. So I just need to correct that before you go on.
What I mean is this: the indigenous, those who are staying in.
I understand what you mean perfectly. Those who come from that, who carry the UK passport.
Yes.
As at the time, at least last I checked, they paid at least a third of what was international students paid. But even that 1/3 was not by any means little money for the average UK citizen.
Okay, no problem. But what we're saying is we can't compare Nigeria to the developed world. Lee Kuan Yew in Singapore, when he wanted to develop Singapore, gave them education. Nigeria is a third world country. UK is one of the first world countries. Now, before they got to where they are today, they have what we call education for the people. Now, for Nigeria to grow, and Lagos in particular, building a mega city with mega illiterate would make everything the government is doing.
Just a moment. You said just a moment, Sulaiman. You said by your own admission that the number of students has dropped.
Yes.
The number of students who came into Lasu, who were offered admission but could afford to come in, dropped drastically from about 4,000 to just about a little above 1,000, if I'm correct.
Yes.
You also said that the commitment of the state government to the university had increased from about 3 billion naira to about 4 billion naira, which means that the number of monies available to each student ordinarily should increase, if I'm correct. Have you been able to liaise with the school authorities to see what impact that increment has had on the university itself?
Oh, no impact whatsoever. As I've said earlier on, our laboratories are still without chemicals. There is an amount charged for filtering, 15,000 naira. For 3 years now, the management of Lagos State University had not organized a trip to Badagry, the next town to us, let alone a trip to some other places.
Why is that?
That's the question that we're asking. If you can collect a exorbitant amount from us...
Who are you posing that question to?
The management and the government.
Yeah, that's why I wanted us to look at the outcome of that particular meeting, because this whole talk is about getting it sorted out. And the outcome is still what I want you to tell us. I'm sure you're a law student.
Yes, sir.
Good. And you had to bring out the issue of the moot court and freshmen who are not eligible to go for that. Have you raised all of that to see if some of this, because for the moot court, the fee for that is 50,000 naira.
Yes.
So to see if this will be taken out, and some couple of others you've highlighted before the committee, have they agreed that they'll be taken out so that the students will now know what it will now amount to?
And yes, we met the committee, and on the committee there were discussions as regards we presented our case. But what to our surprise, there are comments in return where maybe because 350,000 naira is not too much, for no reason we should be agitating for decrement of that fee because their children abroad are paying more. That is what they were telling us. They told us...
Some members of that particular committee?
Yes. They told us that why do we need to come now and say we want to fight for the fee after 3 years, meaning that everything should have been laid to rest and some other things like that. Now what we are saying is, the final result was, let your students go and pay. And if there is a reduction, we will refund their money. That was what infuriated our students.
They told you that as well?
Yes.
Have you met lately with the committee after that meeting?
No, because we only attend meetings with invitations.
Okay, talking about invitations, once the State Assembly invited you, and what was the outcome of that invitation?
No, that was in January 2011, after...
Yes, after the announcement.
After the protest, after the January 23rd protest, they invited us and the State Assembly was expected to intervene into the matter. But instead of doing such, they ordered us to pay some damages, which we resisted, and we did some things on it. So the point here is the State Assembly and the State Executive Council, they work together. I think they blew the same sound to the trumpet. So everything we hear from them is coming from one direction. And what we are saying is the State Assembly should help us intervene in this matter too, so that they can reduce the fee. Because if members representing our constituency from different parts of the state can't say this to the government, who else will take this job up?
What would you also say about, are we also clamoring for scholarships, for increased bursary? You talked about indigent students from Lagos State, who I believe primarily the State University was set up to help. Are we clamoring for some of these other facilities to help soften or ease the burden on parents and even the students themselves?
By the government's position, we had that the bursary allocation has been increased to 1.3 billion. Now, when we delve into research...
How much does each student get right now?
Now, each student get back their tuition fee. For students in Faculty of Arts, they get 50,000 naira, but they pay 193,000. For students in law, they get 80,000 naira, of which they pay 248,000. Medicine and so on like that.
So that's about a third of their tuition fees?
No, that's just a tuition fee alone. But formerly, before the fee was increased in Lasu, students in the Faculty of Law pay 25,000 naira and they get a bursary of 50,000 naira. Students in Faculty of Arts pay 25,000 and they get a bursary of 25,000 naira. They get 100% bursary, meaning their tuition fee refunded, the old fee refunded back to them. But what we have now is not like that. Now, from our discovery, we discovered that only 200 million naira of the 1.3 billion is allotted to new students in Lasu. The rest of the 1.3 billion, 800 million is to scholarship and bursary board, which does not comprise of Lasu students alone. We have students, Lagos students at Ife, on other schools like that. So this bursary is going to them. So they shouldn't be telling us that they've increased the bursary to 1.3 billion. What they are only giving us of the 1.3 is 200 million for fresh students in Lasu. As I'm speaking with you, some of these students in 300 level now are yet to access that bursary after 3 years.
So does that mean that if they don't reduce the fees to what, 65,000 naira and 45,000 naira? 46,000 naira, you will not stop protest?
What we're saying is, we've met with the committee, and when they tell us soon, the word soon cannot be ascribed to any time. Now, if a man of 50 could die, we will say gone too soon. Then 2052 can be soon. Now, the point we're saying is, it should not take the government 10 years to announce a decrement in the fee. It is what they can effect in the twinkle of an eye. Let them come out and tell us that let us pay the new fee regime and our students go back to campus, more Lagosians get access to education. That is what we are agitating for.
All right, Nurudeen Yusuf, thank you for coming on this morning. All right, so you have it there with the president of Lagos State University Student Union. We'll be back after this break. Join us again.